police officers also got hurt in this entire riot. I want to ask you, is this not a conspiracy riot plot hatched by the Congress party?
Navika, these are absolutely shocking revelations, but unfortunately they don't really surprise me. You see, Congress has always hunted for situations that are about to explode. For example, if you remember, in the case of Kamlesh Tiwari, it was some Congress MLAs that demanded his death penalty and lakhs poured onto the streets demanding the same. And the same is here, because the case of this case was of blasphemy, but Congress actually piggybacked on it. But you remember, Navika, just give me 30 seconds. Do you remember the Congress leader Pradeep Manjhi? He was caught red-handed last December inciting riots in Odisha in the wake of a rape case. Keep diesel and petrol ready. Once you get directions, set everything on fire, unquote. Remember Congress leader Shakuntala Khatik, caught red-handed in June 2017, ordering a mob to burn down a police station in Mandsaur. Or Jagdish Title in 2012, when he was in charge of Odisha, Jalao, Halla Bolo, Tod do, unquote. So this is nothing new. What is shocking is that the first time, here it is an internal conspiracy that Congress wants to damage and kill one of its own. That to a Dalit leader. Absolutely condemnable.
MC Abbas.
The river of hypocrisy is flowing, and all those who oppose these reforms are enjoying a holy dip in it. Let me expose them. Pun not intended, to save your eyes from the macabre sight. First up, helped down the ghat by his daughter is Mr. Sharad Pawar, who as agriculture minister wrote multiple letters imploring the government to implement these very reforms. There he is, bobbing up and down as he enjoys the cool waters of the hypocrisy river. A little down the bank is Captain Amrinder Singh, who wanted to bring multinationals of Ambani and Andani to Punjab and protested when they weren't allowed. There straggles the Maharaja, helped into the river by his assortment of frilly turbaned servants. Further downstream is the tractor-trailer encampment populated by the card holders of 9 of the biggest Kisan unions, all ambling up for a good dip. They had wanted to do away with entirely with the Arhatiyas of the middleman system, the very thing they are opposing now. Further down still, we find the VIP enclosure where rent-a-penny intellectuals, midnight farmers and dynasty economists are sipping champagne and preparing to take a dip. They wanted APMC amended. They wanted Swaminathan Committee report implemented. They wanted ECA gone. They blasted the government for excessive procurement. They blamed MSP for inflation. Now they write column yards and appear on choreographed video chats to oppose exactly that. Further down is the asylum by the riverbank, where those who have escaped from logic and rationale are scrambling for a dip. These would be the communists who rule a state that doesn't even have the APMC. Watch them as they girdle up their loins made from tattered CPIM flags. Further downstream still is seen the one and only Rahul Gandhi. There he is, wounding up his Janehu round his ear as he is escorted for a dip by his Men Fridays, Mr. Highbrow and Mr. Only Brow, better known as shampoo and conditioner. Rahul and his party had vowed to do exactly what Modi has done now. Amend APMC, ECA, remove middlemen, bring contract farming. But now he pinches his nose and plunging into this river of hypocrisy like a man-child possessed. Lastly, Rahul, please give me 30 seconds. Before this river of hypocrisy meets the ocean of hypocrisy, we see the usual gang of placard-carrying chauthi-fail Luddites, all enjoying the fruits of capitalism, but dressed up like Paresh Rawal in Hera Fairy to con the unsuspecting. They are protesting against building a dam on this river as they fear the hypocritical water will be diverted and no longer irrigate their vast fields of ignorance and fake narratives. That then is the journey from Bhatinda to Bengal, of the river of hypocrisy and those who are enjoying a merry bath in it. Bhagwan hi bachaye is desh ko.
Well, ye badhiya tha guru.
Yeah, good evening, Navika. First of all, congratulations to you and your team for this wonderful analysis. You know, any logical person would have gone by satellite and visual evidence, but not these chauthi fail lobbyists. And you know, even despite your evidence, now if it still carries on, this constant haranguing and outrage by the lobby and they're demoralizing our defense forces, I'm telling you the only solution is to make Rahul Gandhi the Prime Minister for a day, like what happened in a Hindi film. Let them at least relax for a day. Abhi to 4 saal और जलील होना है minimum. You don't realize that theirs is the hand that rocks the cradle with Rahul Gandhi in it. But to be serious, I mean, these guys have turned this into a joke. Every morning they wake up and chew datun and have Karela juice for breakfast, lunch and dinner and then come on your show and spew all this bitterness. Arey bhai, kitni baar bolu ye baat ki LAC remains undefined at most places in Ladakh. In fact, 500 of the 900-kilometer border there comes under the so-called LAC differing perception. Even the status quo is disputed by both sides, as General Bedi just now has said. So these transgressions are normal and historical. Now I ask Ashutosh this simple question. Does he believe in these two statements made by a defense expert during the UPA? One, I quote, "The India-China border is not yet defined, and so when the Chinese make incursions, it only means that they haven't entered our territory," unquote. And two, quote, "Since the 1962 war, China has extended its control over the entire Galwan River," unquote. And after Ashutosh has answered me, I have another set of questions, beginning with the fact that China occupied 640 square kilometers of eastern Ladakh during the UPA and made 600 incursions in the Indian side between 2013, and on July 12, 2013, entered 28 kilometers deep into our territory at Depsang. And since, because of the lockdown, Navika, I cannot physically be there to invigilate, so let this be an open book exam for Ashutosh. Find the answers from anywhere, but please do answer. Let the world not chide you by saying, "Mera pappu fail ho gaya."
खुद अपने पीछे डंडा लिया है मैंने, ये हुआ है मेरे साथ.
So, I want to ask you, Dr. Anand Ranganathan, isn't this completely motivated at this time?
Yeah, good evening, Navika. No, of course it is. Not only motivated, but it was entirely predictable. These Magna Cartas of fake news and bigotry and selectivity have been trying to foment riots for 6 years. और अभी तो 4 साल इनको और जलील होना है, minimum. Their every lie has been exposed. Their every argument countered. Their every hero brought down. But like a hamster in wheel, they keep paddling the vicious cycle. You cannot cure them. They are the Rakt Beej. Their every drop of blood spawns more of the same. One must understand, Navika, the thin lines that divide anarchy, communism and revolution are there for a purpose. Hopscotch. These anti-science hammerheads have perfected the art of jumping from one square to another. Anarchism today, communism tomorrow, revolution forever. They rationalize and justify nationalism and Islamic terrorism. But cat gets their tongue when you ask them what more than 50 Dalit victims of Muslim mob hate crime and lynchings in the past year should have done. Which street should they have poured on to? What lakhs of Dalits, Gurkhas, refugees, women, Sikhs, homosexuals should have done when they were denied their human and civil rights in Kashmir for 70 years? Or what 5 lakh Kashmiri Pandits should have done when they were murdered, raped and ethnically cleansed from their own land? You see, Naxals can be Gandhis with guns, as their totem Arundhati once called them affectionately, but Kashmiri Pandits can't be. Making matinee idols out of mass murderers like Tipu, Aurangzeb, Mao, Stalin, Che can either be because of one's ignorance or moral relativism. Being congenitally ill-read and hypocrites, in their case it is both. Essentially, these are urban Naxals turned into bourbon Naxals, and their game is up.
Guess who's back? Still doing that shit, Andre? Oh, for sure. Yeah.